Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. It's our Thursday edition here on the Hill Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio. Got a really nice show for you, but we want to get this set up as at 1:15, we're going to have Arkansas Democrat Gazette's Scotty Borderland. We got a lot to talk to Scotty about. Eric Musselman's new signees, how he sees those guys fitting in, plus with the subtraction of Mason Jones and possibly Isaiah Joe. What's the forecast if those two don't come back to the University of Arkansas in his estimation? Where does he see the Razorbacks? And then when we move on, time to get back to the Hall, guys. We're heading to Pearland, Texas, Shadow Creek High School. We're going to catch up with 2022 wide receiver prospect for the Arkansas Razorbacks, Randy Bobo Masters. He'll be on to talk about the Hogs and much, much more. And then we're going to clean it out. I'm talking about the guy we got coming on at 145. 5-star, yes, I said it, 5-star defensive tackle out of Jamesburg, New Jersey, Bergen Catholic High School. Tywan Malone, the big fella, has a lot to say. He's a baseball player too, and it'd be really interesting to see what he has to say about baseball playing a big factor in his in where he goes to school. But I want to go over to my guy, my producer, co-host, Demetrius. What is going on? We had a big teleconference from Eric Musselman yesterday as he gave us a lot of info on his signing class. Vance Jackson, Jalen Tate, Devo Davis, and the big one that signed late last night, last evening, the big fella, Jalen Williams out of Northside, the 6'10", 4-star, top 70 player in the country in his class, all signed. Demetrius, really got to be excited. You have to be excited to get the 4 guys. You're talking 6'4", 6'6", 6'9", and 6'10". The length of this basketball team that Arkansas is going to put out on the floor. So many years here over the last couple seasons, they've been the small guys on the court. No longer will that be the case when you add these guys in, and then you throw in a Connor Vanover, 7'3". Oh, what a difference a year will make.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be a different type of ball game that we've seen in a long time here at Arkansas. You're going to see a lot of size, a lot of shooting, and just, again, the guys that they've added to the roster just bringing that extra athleticism when you look at potential guys like KK Robinson, and then you look at Josh Williams, guys that did sign, JD Note that's going to be on the court. I just think you get longer and a little bit more athletic than you were last year.
Oh, absolutely. I just feel Arkansas, and we all know, Demetrius, in the SEC, in particular basketball, you have to have active rebounders around the rim, and that's where Arkansas, in particular, the game that sticks out is the LSU game where they were out rebounding by 20 rebounds. It just goes to show that in the SEC, the one thing that will stick out is the activity, around the rim with so many guys going and getting the basketball. But Arkansas is really making a push to solve that problem. Like I said, I want to give kudos to Coach Eric Musselman and that staff of Chris Crutchfield, Corey Williams, and Clay Mosier. Those guys did an excellent job going out and really bringing in the nation's number 7 class. And when you look at it, 5, Demetrius, I said 5 of the top 10 basketball classes will reside in the SEC going forward for the next 2 to 3 years. This conference is going to have some big-time conference games going on those Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays.
Absolutely. I think despite this coronavirus, I think this is really going to help the SEC. You just look at the amount of players from both basketball and football that potentially go to the next level, and I just think the basketball is really just turning the page and going to an elite status. Typically you would look at those ACC schools, but I think the SEC is really starting to make its way in closing that gap of difference. Most people looked at the SEC as a physical conference, but I think it's starting to become more of a skill and agility conference in this league.
Yes, it is, and we're gonna get a real quick. Well, actually, let's get some questions in here because we have so many great listeners, and they always chime in with really good questions. And my question to the Razorback fan base, I want you guys here real quick before we get into the show. Shoot Demetrius and I, if you're listening and viewing us and you're by a computer and you can get that starting five. Send us in your starting five as you see it, and let's take out Isaiah Joe. Isaiah Joe's not here, neither is Mason Jones. Who are going to be your starting five when the season starts for Coach Eric Musselman? And shoot those in, and we'll try to read as many starting fives as we can. But I want to initially do ours, Demetrius. Isaiah Joe's not here. I'm going to do mine. At the point guard, I'm going to go with J.D. Note. At the two guard, I'm going to go with Desi Seals. At the three, I'm going Moses Moody. At the four, I'm going to go Vance Jackson. And then at the five, I'll go Connor Vano. That'll be my starting five. So Note, Seals, Vance, Vanover, and who's my fifth one? Who's that fifth one I see? Oh, Moses Moody will be my starting five. Right, man. Yeah, I think you'll see Moses play anywhere from the 1 to the 3 spot.
I really want to see Moody play the 1. I got a chance to see him play the 3, and I don't think he's a bad 3 at all.
Right.
And I know you're really high on JD Note coming in and starting. And I do feel like he could play that role. But I just think you said we can't use Isaiah, so I see why you made your lineup the way you.
Yeah, there's no Joe or
you drew that in there.
Oh, that's tough with that.
Yeah, I see why you kind of made, because I'm like, why does he have Desi starting?
It's a real tough.
Man, I'd have to agree with everything. I maybe substitute Desi.
Right. And I think, because Desi has proven, Demetrius, over his freshman sophomore year, that when he comes off the bench in that 6-man role, he gets starters minutes. And from what I've noticed on his body of work, he just is way more productive as the 6th man. I think that ability, being able to, watch from the bench and be able to analyze.
I might actually throw Debo out there at my 2 or 3.
That could be a possibility.
Jalen
Tate's another guy.
I might play Debo at my 2 or 3 and swap. That's tough.
If you viewers got your starting five and you want to shoot them out, make sure you pass them across our page so we can try at the end of the hour to get some of your starting five request in. But we're getting ready to get started. We gotta get going. We're about to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll be joined by the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette's Scotty Borderland. It's time to talk a little basketball, a little must bust. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. Let's get it.
Hey, with Vance looking up your last year in Nevada, I think you guys were 14-0, ranked sixth going into Albuquerque. He had like I wrote it down here, 18 points, 10 boards, 7 assists, 3 steals. Pretty good game. What kind of impression did that make on you, and how much did that make you want to add him to your team now?
Yeah, I mean, off that particular team, Bob, obviously we were rolling, being undefeated, the top, whatever, 10 in the country. We felt like his versatility was the only player in our conference at the time that could match our guys' versatility because, you know, we had 4 guys that could kind of play 4 positions, and Vance kind of, you know, negated that. You know, he's been known to step up in big games. Obviously, New Mexico's biggest game that year was when we went in there. They had their biggest crowd of the year. He stepped up against a ranked team and dominated the game. And it's interesting because when he verbally committed, I would say 7 to 8 of the guys off the Nevada team, you know, have texted me that particular day because our guys had tremendous respect for him, and then just what he's done in the Mountain West tournament in Las Vegas. You know, he's even got a nickname for how he's performed in Vegas, you know, in conference tournament settings.
What's the nickname?
I think it's Vegas Vance, but I guess somebody'd have to look it up.
Welcome back to our Thursday edition of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio. We come to you each and every day here on KDSJ 479 from 1 to 2 p.m. And we want to move on as we're going to bring on a guy that we hadn't had on in a while, but you know, we want to touch base with him, and he's the best at what he does. That being said, Scotty Borderland of the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Scotty B, welcome to OTH. Man, trying to make it, not being able to cover spring ball or baseball, but still trying to find some type of Arkansas news to let this rabid fan base know about. So we thought we'd bring you on, Scotty B, and talk a little must bust. You know, just here over the last 2-week period, Mason Jones has declared for the NBA draft. Talk about that and how will that all, you know, what does that do for this ball club heading into next season, Scotty?
Yeah, I don't think Mason declaring for the draft was like a big surprise to anyone. You know, maybe him saying that there's a pretty good chance that he's going to stay in the draft. Maybe that surprised some people just because he's not really showing up on any mock drafts and, you know, on some big boards, according to, you know, like ESPN and The Athletic. I think he's like in the 70s range in terms of big boards, which there's only 60 picks in the draft. So people are, you know, maybe wondering if he's maybe getting a little bit ahead of himself. But, you know, I think he's just ready for bigger challenges, like he said. And I don't think he's really got much more to prove at the college level. I don't think he could come back next year and have a season better than the one he just had. I think he's more so seeing maybe he's going to try to strike when the iron's hot.
Right.
Even though there is some uncertainty, you know, surrounding the NBA draft, and, you know, I think the deadline was today to seek, you know, under, I think it's the advisory committee, right, you know, get feedback from them. So wasn't really surprised by it. And, you know, if he ultimately doesn't come back, then, I mean, next year's team looks a little bit different, but, you know, they've definitely got some playmakers coming in. Musk signed a few of them yesterday that I know he's really excited about.
Talking about another young man that the entire state is waiting on with bated breath to see what he's going to do. I know we were involved in yesterday's teleconference with Coach Eric Musselman, and he stated that junior to be shooting guard Isaiah Joe, he felt would test the waters. Talk about that, and, you know, where do you see Isaiah? And in your gut feeling, Scotty, do you think he'll be back, or, you know, where are you at with that?
Yeah, my gut feeling is, you know, I just can't really get a read on the decision for the most part, but, you know, my gut tells me that he might be back next year. I think if you break down Mason and Isaiah, I would probably tell you that Isaiah is the better NBA prospect because a lot of getting to the league is about specialization, and Isaiah. Not that Mason doesn't do some things very, very, very well, even better than Mason, or better than Isaiah, but Isaiah's got range for days, and he's a 3-and-D type guy.
Absolutely.
And maybe needs to add some strength to his upper body, but I mean that can be. I mean, you can do some things with that in the league. Like there's guys who's like their entire job is to help guys get bigger, faster, stronger. I mean, they're top of the line guys, and so my gut just tells me they might be back. But I mean, it's been radio silence on that end. And Muss was talking about his family is really thinking this thing through, and I expect them to make a pretty educated decision. I mean, from all indications, I think they're doing everything they can. They're doing their due diligence before announcing anything.
Now let's go to the team that will be coming back for the 2021 basketball season in year 2 under Coach Eric Musselman. I mean, already, Scotty, we see over social media a lot of outlets in way too early top 25 polls. They have this basketball team anywhere from 22 to 17 in that area. 14, I've seen it in some polls. Talk about what you expect, because you kind of hope the core is going to come back. And what I mean by Desi Seals, Reggie Chaney, guys that's been there, done that. If you get Isaiah back, those are 3 guys you can build around. But talk about the team and your expectations with what must have signed. I mean, you get Vance Jackson, Jalen Tate, Debo Davis, and Jalen Williams. What they expecting Moses Moody and KK Robinson. What's the makeup of this team in your opinion? When you look at it on paper?
Man, it's really athletic, and I think it's got the potential to be a really, really fun team to watch. Me and Seth Campbell, we did a podcast this week, and we broke down the guards and the forwards this week, and I mean, there's exciting guys in both of those groups, and it's kind of crazy to say, but some of those guys can flip flop. Like Vance Jackson is a shooting guard trapped in a forward's body.
Right.
Connor Over is 7'3", loves to shoot the 3, and Devontae Davis does a little bit of everything. Moses Moody is super talented, can probably shoot it from deep as well as most guys in his class. And Jalen Tate's interesting too. He's going to rebound the ball too. He's going to give you a little bit of what Jimmy Witt did, which was play up a position or two maybe at times. So I think it's the versatility on the roster is kind of what stands out to me. And I mean, you're kind of guard heavy, I think, or pretty perimeter oriented. And I think Muss wants this team to shoot threes because I think he feels like this team can.
Right.
And exciting addition. I feel like JD Note is a guy who's kind of flying under the radar a little bit because he's been here a little while, but really excited about him and Moses Moody. And I love what I've seen of Vance Jackson. And Muss talked a little bit yesterday about the nickname that he's earned playing out in Vegas. So Vegas Vance, Arkansas we go out there this year, so maybe we'll get to see a little bit of that. So I'm just forecasting, several months out. I'm pretty eager to see this team play.
Scotty, I want to talk about this team in particular lengthwise. I mean, we all know that, for the last couple of years when you get into SEC or, ball games, Arkansas has been the smaller team. I mean, you talk about adding 6'6" Moody, 6'6" Tate. You're going to bring in 7'3" Vanover, 6'9" Jackson, and then 6'10" Williams. To go along with what you have there in the post at with 6'9" Henderson and 6'8" Reggie Chaney. Talk about this team because we all know really active rebounders are in the SEC. Guys that are long, kind of like the Ethan Henderson as we saw. Talk about the length and how that's going to help this basketball team.
Yeah, for sure. And I think just speaking in terms of height, last year, what did Arkansas have? 2 guys over 6'8" or 6'8"
Right.
And now just about every other guy on the roster is that, especially all of your forwards. I mean, reach that. And then, you've got Isaiah Joe, who's potentially coming back, 6'5", Devontae Davis, 6'4", 6'5", Moses Moody, Jalen Tate are both in that 6'4" to 6'6" range. I mean, all those guys got some good length, and the first thing that maybe jumps out to me when talking about length is the potential that this group's got defensively. You add a guy like Jalen Tate, who's a proven defender,
right,
in the league that he's coming from. That's exciting. I think like the lineup combinations and possibilities are almost endless with this group in terms of what we're looking at right now. And lengthwise, I don't see how it couldn't be a step up from what we saw last year.
Talking with Scotty Borland of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Real quick, we got a minute and a half, and I want to throw something out. Give me your starting five, Scotty, if they were going to play a game tomorrow with the roster that Arkansas has. And let's do something even better because we did it. Let's take out Isaiah Joe. Who's the starting five in game one if you're Coach Eric Musselman, in your estimation?
Yeah, that's a good question. Without Isaiah Joe, I'd probably go Jalen Tate, Moses Moody. Man, this is tough. Maybe, I don't know if you want to go, I'm sure he'll go with three guards.
Right.
And there's going to be a lot of, talking about maybe throwing in a 7-3 guy in there and talking about possibly playing close to positionless basketball. But, I think Jalen Tate's going to be in there maybe from day one,
right,
especially if Isaiah's out. I go Jalen Tate, Moses Moody, maybe Jetty, Note, Vance Jackson, and Connor Vanover. That's a pretty solid group to me.
Well,
I think Jalen Williams, is a guy who could push for some early minutes too.
Well, Scotty, my man, we're definitely going to have to make this a regular now and get back to your weekly segment. But as always, man, great information, and thanks for taking time out here on OTH, my man.
I appreciate you having me. It's good talking to you.
All right. That was Scotty Borland of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. We're going to take a quick break, and then we got to get on the haul, guys. We're heading to Pearland, Texas, where we're about to catch up with 2022 big-time wide receiver prospect Randy Bobo Masters of Shadow Creek High School. He's up next, and it's the Hall Guys on on KDSJ 479. Let's get it. Welcome back. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio, and it's the Hall Guy segment because we always say they don't stop watching. But before we get to our very special guest, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors that make this all possible. Lindsay and Associates, with an office location in Fayetteville, an office location also too in Rogers. Locomotion is located just below the Northwest Arkansas Mall in Fayetteville. Also, Corey Beck's Custom Painting. If you need it to look good, contact Corey Beck and you will be very, very pleased with the work you receive. And then lastly, the one I love, KDK's Chicken. Meet me there or beat me there. It's down at 989 South Razorback Road. Go see Keith and Kathy. Get a plate of that love and like to say on the building, it's not your mama's, but I added this, the best chicken and waffles in the South. But now on to our very special guest, Coach Sam Pittman and the offensive staff under Kendall Briles, Justin Stepp, Brad Davis, Jimmy Smith, and John Cooper are really, really out aggressive recruiting guys that can make plays. And they found one that Coach Justin Stepp hopes he'll make Fayetteville his home in about a few years. So we're going to introduce our big fella, the special wide receiver we keep talking about, Randy Bobo Masters of Shadow Creek High School. Randy, welcome to the Hill.
Yes, sir. Good.
Let's get off into the recruiting, my man. You just recently, not too long ago, got your offer from the University of Arkansas, but you've had a very good relationship, goes back several years with Coach Justin Stepp. Talk about what that conversation was like to get that offer, and what did Arkansas say is how you would fit in if you chose to make Fayetteville your home?
Getting the offer from Arkansas, it was a big step. Like, it showed me that, Arkansas, I'd say, a school that would for sure be in my top 5 because they were one of the first schools that started recruiting me. And the coaching staff there, they're very straightforward and, they're about business.
Now, when you look at this program, what other schools, Bobo, are showing a lot of high priority for you, and what other schools have offered, and how's that playing out for you right now?
The other schools that have offered are Florida, Georgia Tech, Houston, LSU, Ole Miss, SMU, South Carolina, Tennessee, Utah State, and Vanderbilt.
Quite the list, big man. Quite the list for just your junior year. Now, Randy, I want to talk to you about how you're able to get your workouts in. I spoke to you last night briefly. You had just gotten the workout in with not being able to go through spring football and or be in your the weight room that you're so familiar with there at Shadow Creek. How do you stay in shape and get those workouts in?
I mean, if you look at it deep down inside, I mean, it's not stopping them, because if you're going to work, you're going to find an open field and work. Nobody's stopping you from going out.
Good point.
To work.
Talking about Shadow Creek, there you guys won the 6A state championship last year, coming in with a lot of high expectations, but there's a few more young men in Kyron Jones, Trent. Those guys have also been offered. What would it mean for you guys? And if you have you talked about possibly maybe playing together and attending the same school?
We mentioned it a few times. That'll be deadly. We'll bring a championship mentality. And it'll be a lot of winning with us to play on the same field together with the connection.
When you look at Texas high school football, Randy, and you sit down and you watched your film of your sophomore season heading into your junior year, what were some things that you feel really good about, Bobo, and what were some things that you just wrote a note that said, hey, I got to work on this to get ready for my junior year?
I feel good about my future going back and looking to know that I'm only going into my junior year. I feel very good, very confident to know things are about to be easier, because I'm already big, fast, skilled, so I only can get better.
Now, you're listed as an athlete. What do you prefer? Is Arkansas really, has Arkansas said you just be solely a wide receiver, or is that something when you get here they're going to try to use you? Straight wide receiver?
Yes, sir.
Now, who are some NFL or collegiate wide receivers, Bobo, that you like to study, maybe watch what they do and perform a little bit on Friday nights?
I try to watch them all and put them all into my game at once. But mainly I watch Julio Jones, DeAndre Hopkins, Jamal. I even watch CeeDee Lamb on the college level because he's just different.
Now, they're at Shadow Creek. Talk about that culture, Bobo. How does that help prepare you for when you do get to college? Playing at a school such as Shadow Creek there in Pearland that is so well known, and you guys each and every Friday night you take the field. There's a huge bullseye on your chest. How do you think that's going to help once you get to the next level?
It just preparing me for the future, because Shadow Creek fans, they're amazing. So I heard about the Arkansas fans, so it's only gonna get better when we get there, and it'll teach you how to handle it and stuff like that.
Now, when I come to Shadow Creek there in Pearland, I'm in the stadium at the highest seat I can find with my popcorn and my 20-ounce Sprite. When that ball's kicked off, Bobo, what type of football player will I see for 4 quarters in Randy Masters?
You'll see a dog. Somebody who's gonna go get it. Somebody who don't like to lose. You'll see a winner. You'll see a winner's mentality.
Now, I want everybody to know we're talking with Randy Bobo Masters, a 2022 wide receiver prospect for the University of Arkansas, and Justin Stepp out of Shadow Creek High School in Pearland, Texas. Let's have a little fun, my man. We're riding around Pearland, and you got the OG in the car with you. But I'm trying to figure out what's the new vibe, Randy. What's the first 5 songs on the playlist, my man, that you gonna let me listen to?
I got Sackway, XJ Vun and Jay Sean. That's a song I listen to before every game. Then I got the Young Boy, the Red Rum. I listen to that every day, all day. The Lil Baby, Emotionally Scarred, the DJ Carneal, Worst Days, the Lil Baby Grace, B42 Doug.
Oh man, we riding real deep. Oh, I'm vibing with you. Definitely. Those are some good ones. Now, Randy, I'll make one last statement, and I want you to finish this statement for me. When football is done with, when you've played all the football that you can, either if you make the pros or whatnot, but when football is finally done with, Randy Bobo Masters will be doing what with his life after football?
Anything that helps people that doesn't have nothing.
Man, I pride that's big time, man. We need more guys that give those type of answers, Randy. But hey, let's not make this the last time that you're a guest on OTH, all right?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's try to keep up once or twice a month. You up for that?
Yes, sir. I got you.
Hey, Randy, you have a blessed one, my man, and thanks for taking time out here today on OTH.
Thank you.
All right. That was Randy Bobo Masters, 2022 big-time wide receiver prospect for the University of Arkansas. Coach Stepp, Kendall Browse, that entire offensive staff out of Pearland, Texas, Shadow Creek High School. They're the state champs last year. He played a big part, but talk about what you saw from number 2, Bobo.
Just a lot, similar to Trey Knox, a big body guy, has elite speed to be that big for a receiver. Just big, strong hands, can go up, possession receiver, runs nice routes. Again, one of those NFL prospects, and you're just seeing more and more SEC style players turning into the resume.
Man, the big receiver in college football, no more you seeing those 5'10", 6-foot guys. I mean, they're starting to stretch out 6'4", 6'5", 6'3", and like I said, Randy's no different. I believe Randy's 6'2", almost 200 pounds. He's big guy. I had a chance to watch the state 6A championship this past season, and number 2 was a very big part in them winning that chip, as he will continue to be for the remainder of his high school career. He's got 2 more years. But we're gonna move on as the Hall guys. We gotta get to New Jersey, where we're gonna come up with the biggest 5-star that we've had on the show to date. 2021 defensive tackle from Jamesburg, New Jersey, Bergen Catholic High School, Tywan Malone. The big fella's up next. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ, and it's the Hall guys. Back in a moment.
we kind of supply the feedback that we've gotten from NBA teams to Mason and his family, and then it's up to them. And we've done all the research that we can do up to this point. Have talked to 23 NBA teams, supplied them the information, and we support all of our guys in any of their professional aspirations, and we're behind them 100%, whatever decision they make. And the only thing that we can do is provide information through our many contacts that we have.
I appreciate it. That's all I got. Kevin, do you have any questions?
Yeah, hey, Russ. When you look at the grad transfer portal, you obviously got, in traditional transfers, you got 5 guys last year, 2 this year. The spring signing used to be sort of a supplementary part of recruiting, and now it's almost like front-end recruiting because you can build a roster with so much transient nature of it. You're almost sometimes replacing half the roster. Do you think the strategy that you've had in the last couple of years at Arkansas kind of puts Arkansas ahead of the curve because of the outreach and how much attention Arkansas gets on social media, even from the national recruiting analysts who have Arkansas's name nearly in every tweet that goes out about transfers?
I think that, just the nature and the complexion of college athletics with the transfer market have kind of changed. It's even like this year, it's more competitive on the transfer market than it was last year. And, certainly 4 years ago, it was not difficult at all for us to get transfers because we were a little bit ahead of a lot of programs, especially a lot of Power Fives. Now, all Power Fives are recruiting transfers, and certainly there's been talk of potential changes coming either in the very near future or in the future, and that's going to change the landscape even more dramatically, where you're going to be building rosters almost annually. And so, that's just kind of, it's not just basketball, it's going to happen in all sports. And so I think that having a pulse on that is extremely important, because it's just as important as any other way that you would recruit or try to get talent, to your roster.
Thank you.
Welcome back. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio, and we're momentarily trying to make contact with 2021 defensive tackle prospect out of Bergen High School. They're in Jamesburg, New Jersey. Big-time 2021 defensive tackle prospect and 5-star, Tawan Malone. We're hopes that we can get him on here shortly, but we're in the process of making contact with Ty. But I want to go over to Demetrius and continue our conversation. As when you look at it, we've had Scotty on, and I want to talk more about this basketball recruiting side of things, because I really, Demetrius, I really enjoy what Coach Musselman and how he's going about recruiting a lot of big-time prospects to the University of Arkansas. How much do you think, Demetrius, with his NBA background as well as Corey Williams, a former player, and Clay Mosier, how much do you think that plays a factor in some of these kids, even grad transfers, deciding to come play here at Arkansas?
I think it's huge. I think one key thing that I heard Eric Musselman talk about when he was mentioning Mason Jones was that he had a large amount of resources that he was able to send those NBA scouts. And I think the only way you can have those type of relationships is having a background in the NBA, having a background in the CBA, having a background with your father being a former coach and respective, employee of the NBA. So I just think there's multiple things that kind of highlight Eric Musselman himself, and then you look at his staff, former players playing with Michael Jordan. You have teams playing with high caliber recruits that went to Oklahoma. So when you look at all that and look at what they can give you and teach you and bring you, it makes you excited to come to Arkansas and play basketball.
Right, and that's the thing, I think, and I think it's going to be something that is a major factor going forward for this basketball program is all the resources that they have with the NBA. I mean, kids, let's face it, kids and parents want to know, what have you done? Coach Pittman mentioned it in about a month or so ago. It's about what you have in your portfolio, what you've done with players that you've coached and developed in the past. And, with Coach Musselman, Mosier, Williams, and Coach Crutchfield, they have a lot of NBA pedigree. Muss has coached at the D-League. He's coached in the NBA. And then you have Mosier, who's coached with the Lakers. How many people, like we always say, can say that they were on the same bench coaching Kobe Bryant and LeBron James? Not too many in college basketball. So with that experience, and then you have Crutchfield. We all know about his ability to recruit one and done, Trey Young, what he was able to do with Buddy Hield, and then Corey Williams. He's played in the NBA, played on a championship team there in Chicago with Michael Jordan, also played for the Minnesota Timberwolves. So with the experience, has to play a big factor. If you're a parent, how much does that weigh in on your decision?
It weighs in a lot. I mean, I think a lot of kids go to college, especially pursuing athletics, to go to the next level and potentially have that be the means of how they financially take care of their family. So I think it's huge because, 9 times out of 10, a lot of these kids come from poverty families, or I should say middle class families, that are looking for that next kind of jump to change their lives. And I think athletics have served a lot of kids the opportunity to transform their lives. And I think, again, you want to put yourself in the best position to go to a professional level so that you can be compensated with what you love to do, and sometimes that's football or basketball.
Yeah, because everybody wants to go to the next level. I mean, that's just every basketball player's dream from the moment you pick up a basketball. And, I think as the years go on, more and more kids are going to really start to take Arkansas as a very, very serious possible program that they might want to play at. But I think we're going to wrap up today's show. Not going to be able, I think, we just got a text message from Ty. He's in a class, and we always got to go schoolwork first before everything. I mean, these kids have to make sure they get it in the classroom before you can ever see them get it on the football field. So we'll reschedule the big defensive tackle from New Jersey. We will have him on. Apologies that we weren't able to get him on today, but I want to give a thank you to our guests real quick. That being said, Scotty Borland of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette for giving us his take on just how he sees next year's basketball season playing out, and also to Randy Bobo Masters, the big 2022 wide receiver from Pearland, Texas. Shadow Creek High School came on and gave us his 411 as to where Arkansas sits. Did say that Arkansas will be one of the schools that will get an official visit when that time comes from Mr. Masters. Also, too, want to give a thank you to my producer, Demetrius Johnson, and lastly, our sponsors, Lindsay and Associates, with an office location in Fayetteville and office location also, too, in Rogers. Locomotion, located just below the Northwest Arkansas Mall in Fayetteville. Corey Beck's Custom Painting, and lastly, KDK's Chicken. You can catch them down at 989 South Razorback Road. Go see Keith and Kathy, get a plate of that love, and like to say on the building, it's not your mama's, but I at this part, the best chicken and waffles in the South. That's going to do it for us. Until tomorrow, we'll be back with much, much more. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. Let's get it. You guys have a blessed one.
Baby God.